The ultimatum. The message came on a quiet Tuesday morning, shattering the peace of a world that had grown complacent in its solitude. Every screen on Earth flickered to life simultaneously, broadcasting an image that would forever change humanity's place in the universe. A creature unlike anything seen before filled the displays. Its skin was a shimmering, iridescent blue, with multiple eyes arranged in a crescent pattern across what could only be described as a face. When it spoke, its words were translated into every language, leaving no doubt about the gravity of the situation. People of Earth, the alien intoned, its voice a mixture of harmonics that sent shivers down the spines of all who heard it. I am Supreme Commander Zaxel of the Galactic Hegemony. Your planet has been observed for centuries, and the time has come for you to take your place in the greater cosmic order. You have 2 Earth rotations to surrender unconditionally to our rule. Resist, and your world will burn. Choose wisely. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving billions in stunned silence. In a small apartment in New York City, former Marine Corps Special Operations Commander Sarah Chen watched the broadcast with a mix of disbelief and grim determination. At 45, she had thought her days of active service were behind her. The scars on her body, both visible and hidden, were testament to the battles she had fought. But as she stared at the blank screen, Sarah knew that the greatest fight of her life was just beginning. Her phone buzzed insistently. The caller ID read, "Classified." Sarah answered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Chen, we need you in Washington. Now." The voice on the other end was terse, urgent. "A car is already on its way." Within the hour, Sarah found herself in a secure bunker deep beneath the Pentagon. The room was filled with a mix of military brass, politicians, and scientists, all wearing expressions of barely contained panic. General Marcus Hawthorne, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, stood at the head of the table. His weathered face was grim as he addressed the assembly. "Ladies and gentlemen, we face an existential threat unlike anything in human history. Our options are limited, and time is not on our side." A holographic display flickered to life in the center of the table, showing a massive object in Earth orbit. It was roughly cylindrical, with strange protrusions and glowing sections that defied conventional engineering principles. Dr. Amelia Rodriguez, head of NASA, cleared her throat. "This is the alien mothership. It's approximately 50 kilometers long and possesses energy readings that dwarf our entire planet's output. Conservative estimates suggest it could glass half the Earth's surface in minutes." The room erupted in a cacophony of voices, fear and anger mingling in equal measure. Sarah remained silent, her mind racing through scenarios, each more desperate than the last. Silence. General Hawthorne's voice cut through the chaos. "We need solutions, not hysteria." "Commander Chen, you've been unusually quiet. What's your assessment?" All eyes turned to Sarah. She stood slowly, her posture perfect despite years of civilian life. "Sir, conventional warfare is out of the question. We'd be swatted aside like flies. Nuclear options are equally futile. They likely have defenses beyond our comprehension. We need to think asymmetrically." She paused, knowing her next words would be controversial. "We need to take the fight to them. A small team, highly specialized, with technology reverse-engineered from what little we understand of their capabilities. A surgical strike at the heart of their command structure." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. It was a suicide mission, a desperate gamble with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. Dr. Elias Corey, a brilliant but eccentric geneticist, leaned forward. "I may have something that could tip the scales in our favor. A project I've been working on in secret, codenamed Titan. It's not entirely legal, but it might be our only shot." General Hawthorne's eyes narrowed. "Explain." Dr. Corey activated his tablet, projecting images of human DNA strands interwoven with strange, glowing sequences. "We've been experimenting with enhancing human capabilities using a combination of genetic engineering, nanotechnology, and neural interfaces. The results have been extraordinary. Sarah studied the projections, her mind racing with possibilities. You're talking about creating super soldiers. Dr. Corey nodded. Precisely. Individuals with strength, speed, and cognitive abilities far beyond normal human limits. But the process is dangerous, untested on a large scale. We'd be asking volunteers to risk everything, with no guarantee of success. Sarah studied the projections, her mind racing with possibilities. You're talking about creating super soldiers. Dr. Corey nodded. Precisely. Individuals with strength, speed, and cognitive abilities far beyond normal human limits. But the process is dangerous, untested on a large scale. We'd be asking volunteers to risk everything, with no guarantee of success. Project Titan. The secret facility deep beneath the Nevada desert hummed with frenetic energy. What had once been a Cold War-era bunker designed to withstand nuclear strikes had been hastily repurposed into the most advanced genetic engineering lab on the planet. Here, in the shadowy depths of the Earth, humanity's last desperate hope was taking shape. Commander Sarah Chen stood before a row of stasis pods, each containing a volunteer for Project Titan. These men and women, drawn from the elite ranks of special forces units worldwide, had answered the call knowing full well they might not survive the process. Sarah's own pod waited at the end of the line, a silent reminder of the transformation she too would soon undergo. Dr. Elias Corey approached, his eyes rimmed with dark circles from sleepless nights of preparation. We're ready to begin the first phase, Commander. Are you certain about this? Once we start, there's no going back. Sarah's gaze remained fixed on the pods. We're out of time and out of options, Doctor. Humanity's survival depends on the success of this project. Let's do this. Corey nodded grimly and signaled to his team. Technicians swarmed around the pods, initiating the complex sequence that would alter these volunteers at the most fundamental level. As the process began, Sarah felt a moment of vertigo. The world seemed to tilt on its axis as her consciousness expanded, neural pathways lighting up like a circuit board coming to life. Every cell in her body screamed in protest as it was rewritten, enhanced, pushed beyond the limits of human potential. Hours blended into days as the transformation continued. Sarah drifted in and out of consciousness, her mind assaulted by vivid hallucinations and fragments of memories, both hers and not. She saw glimpses of alien worlds, felt the cold vacuum of space against her skin, heard whispers in languages never before uttered by human tongues. When Sarah finally emerged from her pod, she felt as though she had been unmade and rebuilt from the ground up. Her senses were razor-sharp, every input amplified to an almost painful degree. She could hear the heartbeats of the technicians across the room, smell the ozone from the equipment, see with crystal clarity in the dimly lit chamber. Dr. Corey approached cautiously, a mixture of awe and apprehension on his face. Commander Chen, how do you feel? Sarah flexed her fingers, marveling at the new strength coursing through her body. I feel different, powerful, but also strange, like there's more to me now than just flesh and blood. Corey nodded, making notes on his tablet. The enhancements have taken hold better than we dared hope. Your physical capabilities have been increased exponentially. But it's the cognitive improvements that are truly revolutionary. Your neural density has tripled, and we're detecting low-level psionic activity. Sarah's eyes widened. Psionic? You mean telepathy, telekinesis, potentially even more. We're in uncharted territory here, Commander. You and your team are quite literally the next step in human evolution. As if on cue, the other pods began to open. One by one, Sarah's team emerged, each experiencing their own disorientation as they adjusted to their new capabilities. Major David Reeves, formerly of the British SAS, stumbled from his pod, his eyes glowing with an inner fire. Objects around him began to float, responding to his unconscious thoughts. Bloody hell, he muttered, concentrating to bring the items back to rest. Next came Captain Yuki Tanaka of the Japanese Special Forces Group, She moved with liquid grace, her reflexes now operating at speeds beyond human perception. In the blink of an eye, she had crossed the room, a blur of motion that left afterimages in her wake. Dr. Omar Hassan, an Egyptian neuroscientist who had insisted on undergoing the procedure himself, emerged with a look of wonder on his face. "The knowledge," he whispered. "I can access information I never learned. It's as if I'm connected to some vast database." The last pod opened to reveal Sergeant Maria Gonzalez, a former U.S. Army Ranger. Her skin rippled with a strange metallic sheen, a side effect of the experimental nano-armor now integrated into her body. "I feel invincible," she said, her voice tinged with both awe and fear. Sarah looked at her team. These 5 individuals who now carried the hopes of humanity on their shoulders. They were no longer merely soldiers. They had become something more, something that blurred the line between human and transhuman. "All right, people," Sarah said, her voice carrying a new note of authority that seemed to resonate on a subconscious level. "We've got a lot of work to do and not much time to do it. Let's see what we're capable of." The next few days were a whirlwind of testing and training. The team pushed their new abilities to the limit, discovering powers they had never dreamed possible. David's telekinesis grew strong enough to lift vehicles, while Yuki's speed allowed her to dodge bullets with ease. Omar's enhanced intellect let him absorb and process information at an astonishing rate, making him a walking encyclopedia of tactical knowledge. Maria's nano-armor proved capable of adapting to any environment, providing protection against extremes of temperature, pressure, and even radiation. And Sarah found that her own abilities were a mix of the others, coupled with a natural talent for leadership that bordered on mind control. As they trained, Dr. Curry and his team worked tirelessly to retrofit alien technology salvaged from previous, clandestine encounters. Weapons that channeled exotic energies, armor that could bend light around the wearer, and communication devices that operated on principles that defied conventional physics. But even as Project Titan made unprecedented strides, the clock was ticking. The alien mothership remained in orbit, a constant reminder of the threat looming over them. Earth's governments had managed to keep the population relatively calm, but panic was beginning to set in as the deadline approached. It was during one of their training sessions that the first real test of their new abilities came. An alarm blared through the facility, and General Hawthorne's voice crackled over the intercom. "We have a situation. Alien scouts have been detected on the surface. This is not a drill." Sarah's team snapped to attention, their enhanced minds already formulating strategies. "Gear up," she ordered. "Looks like we're about to have our first encounter." They donned their experimental armor, sleek suits that looked more like second skins than traditional combat gear. As they headed for the surface, Sarah couldn't help but feel a mix of anticipation and dread. This would be humanity's first real confrontation with the alien threat, and the outcome would set the stage for the battles to come. The Nevada desert stretched out before them as they emerged from the hidden entrance to the facility. In the distance, strange lights flickered against the night sky, the alien scouts making their approach. Sarah reached out with her newfound abilities, sensing her team's readiness. "Remember," she said, her voice calm despite the gravity of the situation, "we're not just fighting for ourselves anymore. We're fighting for every human being on this planet. Let's show these aliens what humanity is capable of." As if in response to her words, the first alien craft appeared on the horizon. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. A shimmering, almost organic-looking vessel that seemed to defy the laws of physics as it moved. "Tanaka, you're up," Sarah commanded. Yuki nodded, her body tensing like a coiled spring. In an instant she was gone, nothing but a blur racing across the desert floor. The alien craft seemed to detect her approach, firing strange, pulsating energy bolts that left glowing trails in the air. But Yuki was too fast. She dodged each shot with inhuman precision, closing the distance in seconds. With a leap that defied gravity, she landed on the craft's surface, her nano-enhanced fingers digging into the alien metal. The vessel bucked and spun, trying to shake her off, but Yuki held firm. Her hands found what looked like a seam, and with strength that would have been impossible just days ago, she began to pry it open. "Reeves, give her some cover," Sarah shouted. David raised his hands, his face a mask of concentration. Boulders rose from the desert floor, hurtling towards the other alien craft that had begun to converge on Yuki's position. The impacts were devastating, sending the vessel spiraling out of control. As Yuki finally tore open the alien craft, a creature emerged, similar to the one they had seen in the global broadcast, but smaller, its blue skin pulsating with obvious agitation. It raised a weapon, but Maria was there in an instant, her nano-armor deflecting the energy blast harmlessly away. The alien's multiple eyes widened in what could only be shock as it realized its weapons were ineffective. It began to emit a high-pitched keening sound, some kind of distress call. "We need it alive," Sarah commanded. "Omar, can you communicate with it?" Dr. Hassan stepped forward, his enhanced mind reaching out to the alien's consciousness. For a moment, both human and alien stood stock still, locked in silent communion. Then Omar gasped, staggering back. It's not what we thought," he said, his voice shaking. "They're not here to conquer us. They're running from something worse." Before Omar could elaborate, the alien slumped to the ground, unconscious, whether from the mental contact or some kind of self-defense mechanism. They couldn't be sure. "Bag it and tag it," Sarah ordered. "We need to get this thing back to the lab for study. And gather all the tech you can from these ships, anything that might give us an edge." As her team worked to secure the alien and salvage what they could, Sarah looked up at the night sky. Somewhere up there, the mothership waited. And beyond that, apparently, lay a threat even greater than they had imagined. She activated her comm link. "General Hawthorne, this is Commander Chen. First contact successful. But sir, the situation may be more complicated than we thought." The general's voice came back, tense but controlled. "Understood, Commander. Get back to base with your findings. Whatever's going on up there, we're running out of time to stop it." As they prepared to return to the facility, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. They had won their first skirmish, proved that humanity could stand against the alien threat. But the real battle, the one that would decide the fate not just of Earth, but perhaps of the galaxy itself, was yet to come. With the unconscious alien secured, and as much salvage technology as they could carry, Sarah led her team back to the hidden entrance of Project Titan. The desert night was silent once more, but the calm felt deceptive. Whatever was coming, Sarah knew, would make this encounter seem like a mere prelude. As the doors of the facility closed behind them, sealing them once more in the subterranean complex that had become both their training ground and their fortress, Sarah allowed herself a moment of reflection. They had taken their first steps into a larger universe, one filled with wonders and terrors beyond imagination. And somehow, they would have to find a way to navigate it, not just for their own survival, but for the survival of their entire species. The real work, she realized, was just beginning. Counterattack. The war room of Project Titan buzzed with activity as holographic displays flickered with real-time data from around the globe. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the center, her enhanced mind processing the influx of information at superhuman speeds. The clock was ticking. Less than 24 hours remained before the alien's ultimatum expired. Dr. Corey burst into the room, his face flushed with excitement. "Commander, you need to see this." He activated a central hologram, revealing the unconscious alien they had captured. "We've made a breakthrough in communicating with it." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "I thought Omar had already established mental contact." "This is different," Corey explained. Dr. Hassan's telepathic link was fragmentary, impressionistic, but by combining his insights with the alien tech we salvage, we've developed a rudimentary translation matrix. We can actually talk to it now. As if on cue, the alien stirred, its multiple eyes blinking in confusion. When it spoke, its words were overlaid with a mechanical translation. Where am I? What have you done to me?" Sarah stepped forward, her posture radiating authority. "You're on Earth, in a secure facility. We captured you during your scouting mission. Now we have questions, and you're going to provide answers." The alien's skin rippled, a sign of agitation or fear. You're not like the others. You've changed yourselves." "How?" "That's not important," Sarah countered. "What matters is why you're here. Our telepath sensed that you're running from something. Explain." The alien was silent for a moment, its eyes darting around the room. Finally, it slumped in defeat. "We are the Zarki. For millennia, we have traveled the stars, seeking worlds to colonize. But we are no longer the hunters. We have become the hunted." "Hunted by what?" Major Reeves interjected, his patience wearing thin. "The Void Eaters," the alien whispered, its voice filled with terror even through the translation. "Ancient beings that exist between the stars. They consume entire civilizations, leaving nothing but cold, dead worlds in their wake. We thought your planet might be a safe haven, a place to make our final stand." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. They weren't facing mere conquerors. They were dealing with refugees fleeing an apocalyptic threat. Sarah's mind raced, formulating plans and discarding them just as quickly. Finally, she turned to her team. "This changes things, but our mission remains the same. We need to get to that mothership and take control, not just for Earth's sake, but for the sake of both our species." Captain Tanaka nodded. "But how? Even with our enhancements, we can't exactly fly up there." A slow smile spread across Sarah's face. "No, but our new friend here might be able to help with that." She turned back to the alien. "Your scout ships, can they dock with the mothership?" The alien's eyes widened in understanding. "Yes, but you can't be serious. The security protocols, the internal defenses, it would be suicide." "Maybe for your kind," Sergeant Gonzalez said, her nano-armor rippling beneath her skin. "But we're not exactly standard-issue humans anymore." Over the next few hours, a daring plan took shape. Using the captured scout ship and the aliens' reluctant assistance, they would infiltrate the mothership. Their goal, to either negotiate a peaceful resolution or, if necessary, seize control of the vessel and its formidable weaponry. As the team made final preparations, Sarah took a moment to address them. "I won't lie to you. This mission is beyond dangerous. We're about to fly into the heart of an alien stronghold with nothing but our wits, our new abilities, and a half-baked plan. But the stakes couldn't be higher. This isn't just about Earth anymore. We're fighting for the survival of two species, maybe more. Whatever happens up there, know that it's been an honor serving with each of you." The team nodded solemnly, the weight of their responsibility evident in their eyes. They had been chosen for this, transformed into something more than human. Now it was time to put their new powers to the ultimate test. As they boarded the alien scout ship, with their Zarki prisoners secured in the hold, Sarah couldn't help but feel a mix of anticipation and dread. They were about to make history, one way or another. The ship hummed to life, its organic-looking controls responding to their touch as if alive. With a burst of energy that defied conventional physics, they shot into the sky, quickly leaving Earth's atmosphere behind. As they approached the massive mothership, its true scale became apparent. The vessel was a city in space, easily dwarfing anything humanity had ever constructed. Strange energy fields shimmered around it, and weapon emplacements larger than buildings dotted its surface. "This is it," Sarah said, her voice steady despite the tension. "Omar, link with our guest. Make sure we transmit the correct clearance codes." Dr. Hassan nodded, his eyes glazing over as he established a telepathic connection with the Zarki prisoner. The alien vessel ahead of them was sending out a barrage of communications, and Omar relayed the responses, his enhanced mind translating alien concepts into actions faster than any computer. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, a massive bay door began to iris open, revealing a cavernous hangar within the mothership. "We're in," Yuki breathed, guiding their craft into the alien docking bay with preternatural precision. As they touched down, Sarah activated her comlink. "Remember the plan. Yuki and David, you're on recon. Maria, you're our heavy hitter if things go sideways. Omar, stay with the ship and keep our guest cooperative. I'll take point on the diplomacy front. Let's move." They exited the scout ship, their enhanced senses immediately assaulted by the alien environment. The air was thick with strange scents, and the gravity felt slightly off. All around them, bizarre machinery pulsed and hummed with otherworldly energy. Yuki vanished in a blur, her superhuman speed allowing her to scout vast sections of the ship in minutes. David closed his eyes, reaching out with his telekinetic senses to map the vessel's layout. "This way," Sarah said, her innate leadership abilities guiding them towards what felt like the heart of the ship. As they moved through twisting corridors that seemed to defy Euclidean geometry, they encountered surprisingly little resistance. It was as if the Zarki were too preoccupied with some greater concern to notice the intruders in their midst. Finally, they reached what could only be the command center. A vast, spherical chamber opened up before them, filled with holographic displays showing star systems and swirling energies that hurt the eyes to look at directly. In the center stood a being that could only be Supreme Commander Zaxel, the alien who had delivered the ultimatum to Earth. It turned to face them, its multiple eyes widening in surprise. "Impossible," it said, its words instantly translated by their neural implants. "How did you get here? What have you done to yourselves?" Sarah stepped forward, her posture radiating confidence. "We've come to negotiate, Commander. We know about the Void Eaters. We know you're not here to conquer, but to survive." Zaxel's skin rippled with complex emotions. "Then you understand the urgency of our situation. We need your world, human. The Void Eaters approach, and we have nowhere else to go. There has to be another way," Sarah countered. "Our planet may not be able to support your entire population, but perhaps together we can find a solution. A way to fight back against this common enemy." Before Zaxel could respond, alarms began to blare throughout the ship. Holographic displays flickered, showing a massive distortion in space approaching rapidly. "No," Zaxel whispered, terror evident in its voice. "They've found us. The Void Eaters are here." The ship shuddered as if struck by some immense force. Through the viewports, Sarah could see space itself seeming to tear open, revealing a darkness deeper than the void between stars. Something was emerging. Something vast and ancient and hungry. "Commander," Yuki's voice crackled over the comm. "We've got company. Alien life forms are pouring out of some kind of spatial rift. They're attacking both us and the Zarki." Sarah's mind raced, assessing the situation with superhuman speed. They were outgunned, outnumbered, and facing an enemy they barely understood. But giving up wasn't an option, not with the fate of two species hanging in the balance. She turned to Zaxel, her voice filled with steel. "You said you came here to make your final stand. Well, this is it, but you don't have to face it alone. Let us help you. Let humanity prove its worth not as your slaves, but as your allies." For a moment, Zaxel was silent, its alien features unreadable. Then it nodded, a gesture eerily similar to a human's. "Very well, Commander. It seems we have little choice. What do you propose?" Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. "First, we need to coordinate our defenses. Yuki, David, rendezvous at our location. Maria, I need you to interface with the ship's weapon systems. Omar, see if you can establish telepathic contact with these Void Eaters. We need to know what we're dealing with." As her team acknowledged her orders, Sarah turned back to Zaxel. "Now, tell me everything you know about fighting these things. We've got a war to win." What followed was a desperate battle unlike anything in human history. The Void Eaters poured forth from the spatial rift, revealing themselves to be creatures of living darkness, their very touch capable of unraveling matter itself. Yuki became a blur of motion, her superhuman speed allowing her to strike at the invaders faster than the eye could follow. David used his telekinesis to hurl debris and weaponry at the encroaching horde, while Maria interfaced directly with the mothership's defense grid, unleashing barrages of energy that lit up space like a newborn star. Omar stood at the center of it all, his mind reaching out to touch the alien consciousness of the Void Eaters. What he found there nearly broke him. An intelligence so vast and ancient that it regarded entire galaxies as little more than morsels to be consumed. But in that contact, Omar also found a weakness. "Commander," he shouted over the din of battle. "They're connected, all of them. If we can disrupt their hive mind, we might be able to drive them back." Sarah nodded, her own enhanced abilities allowing her to coordinate the combined human and Zarki forces with preternatural efficiency. "Zaxel, do you have anything that can generate a massive electromagnetic pulse?" The alien commander's eyes lit up with understanding. "The warp core. If we overload it, it could create a pulse powerful enough to reach the rift itself." "Do it," Sarah ordered. "We'll buy you time." What followed was a desperate holding action. Sarah and her team fought with everything they had, their enhanced bodies pushed to the absolute limit. Yuki moved so fast she seemed to be everywhere at once, her strikes tearing through Void Eaters with impossible precision. David created barriers of pure telekinetic force, shielding their allies from the worst of the assault. Maria became one with the ship's weapons, her nano-enhanced body channeling energies that would have vaporized a normal human. And through it all, Sarah led, her strategic mind and innate charisma allowing her to coordinate the disparate forces into a cohesive whole. Human and Zarki fought side by side, united against a common foe that threatened to devour them all. Just when it seemed they could hold out no longer, when the tide of darkness threatened to overwhelm them entirely, Zaxel's voice rang out. "It's ready. Brace for impact." A blinding light erupted from the heart of the mothership, expanding outward in a wave of pure energy. It washed over friend and foe alike, scrambling sensors and disrupting the very fabric of space-time itself. For a moment, all was chaos and confusion. Then, slowly, the view screens cleared, revealing a sight that left even the enhanced humans breathless. The Void Eaters were retreating, their shadowy forms dissipating like smoke in the wind. The rift they had emerged from was closing, sealing shut with a final burst of otherworldly energy. As the realization of their victory sank in, a cheer went up, human and Zarki voices mingling in a cry of triumph and relief. They had done it. Against all odds, they had faced down an enemy that threatened to consume entire worlds, and they had won. Sarah turned to Zaxel, exhaustion evident even in her enhanced physique. "I think," she said with a weary smile, "that we have a lot to talk about." The alien commander nodded, its own form slumped with fatigue. "Indeed we do, Commander. Indeed we do." As the combined fleet limped back towards Earth, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder. They had set out to save their world from alien invaders, only to find themselves fighting alongside those very aliens against a threat beyond imagination. The universe, it seemed, was vaster and stranger than they had ever dreamed. But they had proven that humanity could rise to the challenge. With their newfound abilities and newfound allies, they were ready to take their place among the stars. The battle against the Void Eaters was over, but Sarah knew that their greatest adventures were just beginning. A new horizon. The journey back to Earth was tense, filled with equal parts exhaustion and anticipation. The massive Zarki mothership, now bearing both alien and human crews, limped through space, its systems still reeling from the battle against the Void Eaters. Smaller craft from both species flew escort, a visual representation of the unlikely alliance born in the crucible of combat. Commander Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the alien vessel, her enhanced senses taking in the myriad of unfamiliar controls and readouts. Beside her, Supreme Commander Zaxel worked tirelessly to coordinate repairs and maintain communication with the rest of the Zarki fleet. "We're approaching Earth's orbit," Yuki announced, her superhuman reflexes allowing her to navigate the alien systems with surprising ease. "But we've got a problem. Earth's governments are mobilizing their militaries. They're treating us as a potential threat." Sarah grimaced. Of course, from Earth's perspective, the massive alien ships now bearing down on the planet looked like the invasion force they had originally feared. "Open a channel to Project Titan headquarters. We need to explain the situation before this turns into a diplomatic nightmare." As Sarah worked to diffuse the tension, briefing Earth's leaders on the incredible events that had transpired, the rest of her team spread throughout the ship, lending their unique abilities to critical tasks. David used his telekinesis to assist with repairs, manipulating alien technology with his mind in ways that left even the Zarki engineers in awe. Maria integrated herself directly into the ship's defense systems, her nano-enhanced body serving as a living firewall against any lingering Void Eater corruption. Omar worked tirelessly with the Zarki scientists, his enhanced intellect and telepathic abilities bridging the gap between human and alien knowledge. Hours passed in a flurry of negotiations, explanations, and barely averted crisis. Finally, an agreement was reached. The Zarki fleet would be allowed to enter Earth orbit, with a select delegation, including Sarah and her team, permitted to land and begin formal diplomatic talks. As their shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, Sarah felt a strange mix of emotions. They were returning as heroes, having saved their planet from not one but two alien threats. Yet she knew that the real challenges were only beginning. How would humanity adapt to the knowledge that they were not alone in the universe? How would they integrate the advanced technology and knowledge the Zarki brought with them? And perhaps most pressingly, how would they prepare for the possibility that the Void Eaters might one day return? The shuttle touched down on the grounds of the United Nations headquarters in New York. A crowd had gathered, diplomats, military personnel, and civilians alike, all straining to catch a glimpse of the returning heroes and their alien allies. As Sarah stepped out, flanked by her team and a visibly nervous Zaxel, a hush fell over the crowd. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Then, a cheer erupted, a sound of relief, joy, and unbridled hope for the future. Sarah took a deep breath, her enhanced mind carefully considering each word. Distinguished representatives, honored guests, citizens of Earth, we stand at a crossroads unlike any in human history. The events of the past weeks have forever changed our understanding of our place in the universe. We are not alone, and we are not safe. She paused, letting the gravity of her words sink in. The threat posed by the Void Eaters is real, and it is vast. These beings consume entire civilizations, leaving nothing but cold, dead worlds in their wake. They were driven back, but they were not destroyed. We must assume they will return, hungry for revenge, and for the life-rich worlds we call home. A murmur ran through the assembly. Sarah pressed on, but we are not without hope. In the Zarki, we have found not the conquerors we feared, but allies in the truest sense. They bring with them technology and knowledge beyond our wildest dreams, and in exchange they ask for our help, our resources, our determination, and our unique human spirit. She gestured to Zaxel, who stepped forward. The alien's voice, translated through the UN systems, rang out clear and strong. People of Earth, we come before you not as invaders, but as refugees and as friends. Our worlds are gone, consumed by the darkness between the stars. But in your planet, in your people, we see a chance for a new beginning, for both our species. Sarah nodded, picking up the thread. The choice before us is clear. We can turn inward, clinging to old divisions and petty squabbles, or we can reach for the stars, united in common purpose. The Zarki offer us the keys to the cosmos. faster than light travel, energy sources beyond our comprehension, medical advances that could eliminate disease and extend the human lifespan indefinitely. She swept her gaze across the assembly, meeting the eyes of world leaders and diplomats. But this gift comes with a price. We must be willing to change, to grow beyond the limitations of our past. The Super Soldier program that created me and my team is just the beginning. To face the challenges ahead, humanity as a whole must evolve, not just physically, but mentally and socially as well. A hush fell over the chamber as the implications of her words sank in. Sarah continued, her voice filled with conviction. I propose a new initiative, Project Ascension, a global effort to uplift humanity, to enhance our bodies and minds, to rewrite our social structures and economies to meet the challenges of a cosmic scale. With the Zarki as our partners, we can become something greater than we ever imagined. The response was immediate and intense. Some representatives cheered, while others shouted objections. Debates erupted throughout the chamber, the volume rising to a fever pitch. Sarah stood calmly at the center of the storm, her enhanced senses taking in every argument, every nuance of the unfolding drama. As the session stretched into the night, coalitions formed and fractured. Some nations embraced the idea of transformation wholeheartedly, eager to reap the benefits of alien technology. Others were more cautious, fearing the loss of human identity or the creation of an unbridgeable gap between enhanced and unenhanced individuals. Through it all, Sarah and her team worked tirelessly, leveraging their unique abilities to bridge divides and build consensus. David used his subtle telepathic talents to sense the underlying emotions of key players, allowing Sarah to tailor her arguments to address unspoken fears and desires. Yuki's superhuman speed let her shuttle between factions, carrying messages and brokering deals faster than any normal diplomat could hope to match. Maria's imposing presence and strategic mind proved invaluable in security negotiations, assuaging fears about potential misuse of alien technology. Omar, with his vast, enhanced intellect, became the linchpin of the scientific discussions. He worked alongside Zarki experts to break down complex alien concepts into terms Earth scientists could understand and build upon. Under his guidance, the first tentative steps towards integrating human and Zarki knowledge began to take shape. As dawn broke over New York, a framework for moving forward emerged. Project Ascension would proceed, but with careful oversight and ethical guidelines. The enhancement process would be voluntary, with safeguards in place to prevent the creation of an enhanced upper class. In exchange for sharing their technology, the Zarki would be granted sanctuary on Earth and in orbital habitats, with a long-term plan to terraform Mars as a new homeworld for their species. But the most ambitious proposal was yet to come. As the final votes were tallied and the agreement was formalized, Sarah took the podium one last time. "We've taken the first steps towards a brighter future," she said, her voice carrying easily through the now hushed chamber. "But we cannot stop here. The threat of the Void Eaters looms large, and we must be ready to face them when they return. To that end, I propose the formation of a new organization, the Terran Defense Force." She outlined her vision, a combined human and Zarki fleet, crewed by enhanced individuals and equipped with the most advanced technology both species could produce. This force would not only defend Earth and its colonies, but would also push outward, exploring the galaxy and establishing humanity as a major player on the cosmic stage. "We stand at the threshold of a new era," Sarah concluded, her words resonating with the weight of destiny. "An era of challenge, of transformation, and of infinite possibility. The road ahead will not be easy. We will face dangers we can scarcely imagine, and we will be called upon to become more than we ever thought possible. But I know, that together, we can rise to meet any challenge. The stars themselves are now within our reach. Let us grasp them with both hands." As applause filled the chamber, Sarah felt a profound sense of both accomplishment and trepidation. They had averted one crisis, but the real work was just beginning. The transformation of humanity, the integration of two vastly different species, the preparation for a cosmic war. All of it lay ahead, a mountain of challenges that would test them to their very limits. But as she looked at her team, at David's quiet confidence, Yuki's eager grin, Maria's steadfast determination, and Omar's eyes bright with the thrill of discovery, Sarah knew they were ready. Whatever the universe might throw at them, they would face it together. As the assembly adjourned and the world began to grapple with the momentous changes to come, Sarah allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. They had set out to save the Earth, and in doing so, they had changed the course of human history. The future was uncertain, filled with both promise and peril. But one thing was clear: humanity's destiny now lay among the stars. With a deep breath, Commander Sarah Chen squared her shoulders and stepped forward, ready to lead humanity into its bold new future. The greatest adventure in human history was just beginning, and she intended to see it through to the end. Cosmic legacy. 5 years had passed since the fateful day when humanity first faced the twin challenges of the Zarki arrival and the Void Eater threat. Earth had changed in ways that would have been unimaginable half a decade earlier. The skyline of every major city now featured Zarki architecture, organic-looking structures that seemed to defy gravity, housing joint human-alien research centers and cultural exchange hubs. Commander Sarah Chen, now Admiral Chen of the Terran Defense Force, stood atop the gleaming spire of TDF headquarters in what was once downtown Manhattan. The building, a perfect fusion of human and Zarki design, stretched over a kilometer into the sky. From her vantage point, Sarah could see the massive orbital elevators on the horizon, their cables disappearing into the clouds as they ferried people and materials to the bustling space stations above. Her comlink chimed, the sound resonating directly in her mind thanks to her latest neural upgrades. "Admiral," came the voice of her AI assistant, "the final preparations for Project Exodus are complete. The colonization fleet is ready for your inspection." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Project Exodus represented the culmination of years of work, the first large-scale human Zarki expedition beyond the solar system. A fleet of city ships, each capable of supporting tens of thousands of colonists, waited in high orbit. Their destination: a promising star system 50 light-years from Earth, identified by long-range Zarki sensors as potentially habitable and, more importantly, freed from any signs of Void Eater activity. "Very good," Sarah replied. "Inform the team I'll be there shortly." With a thought, she activated her personal gravity nullifier, stepping off the edge of the building and descending gracefully to the transport pad below. As she walked through the halls of TDF HQ, both human and Zarki personnel saluted her with respect. The integration of the two species had not been without its challenges, but the shared purpose of exploration and defense against cosmic threats had forged strong bonds. Sarah made her way to the briefing room where her core team, the same enhanced individuals who had fought alongside her in that first desperate battle, waited. Though they all bore new ranks and responsibilities, the camaraderie between them remained as strong as ever. "Admiral on deck," called out Captain Yuki Tanaka, now head of TDF's Special Operations Division. The others stood at attention: Major David Reeves, Director of Psionic Research; Colonel Maria Gonzalez, Chief of Planetary Defense; and Dr. Omar Hassan, lead scientist of the Void Eater Countermeasures Project. At ease, Sarah said with a warm smile, "We've come a long way from that bunker in Nevada, haven't we?" They all chuckled, the shared memory of their humble beginnings as experimental super soldiers, a stark contrast to their current positions of leadership in humanity's new cosmic age. "Project Exodus is ready to launch," Sarah continued, her tone growing serious. "But before we give the final go-ahead, I want to hear from each of you. What's the status of our preparations?" One by one, her team gave their reports. Yuki detailed the security measures in place to protect the colonization fleet, including the latest in stealth technology and automated defense systems. David explained the advancements in long-range telepathic communication, which would allow the colonies to stay in contact with Earth across vast interstellar distances. Maria outlined the new planetary defense grid, a network of satellites and ground-based installations capable of detecting and repelling everything from asteroids to potential Void Eater incursions. And Omar, his eyes alight with the excitement of scientific discovery, described the latest breakthroughs in understanding and counteracting Void Eater technology. As Sarah listened, she felt a swell of pride. These were no longer just her teammates. They were the architects of humanity's future among the stars. Each of them had taken the gifts of their enhancement and used them to push the boundaries of what was possible. "Excellent work, all of you," Sarah said as the briefing concluded. "I think we're as ready as we'll ever be. Let's head to the orbital station and give Project Exodus the green light." As they made their way to the shuttle bay, Sarah's mind wandered to the broader changes that had swept across Earth in the past 5 years. The integration of Zarki technology had solved many of humanity's most pressing problems. Clean energy was now abundant, climate change had been reversed, and diseases that had once been death sentences were now easily curable. But perhaps the most profound change had been to humanity itself. The enhancement process pioneered by Project Titan had been refined and made available to a significant portion of the population. Those who chose to undergo the procedure gained increased physical capabilities, heightened cognitive function, and extended lifespans. It was a second renaissance, with art, science, and culture flourishing as human potential was unleashed. Of course, not everyone had embraced these changes. There were still holdouts, groups that rejected the idea of human enhancement or feared the influence of alien culture. Managing these tensions had become one of the greatest challenges for Earth's new unified government. As their shuttle broke through the atmosphere and approached the massive orbital shipyards, Sarah pushed these concerns to the back of her mind. Today was about looking forward, about taking the next bold step into humanity's cosmic future. The Project Exodus fleet was a breathtaking sight. 12 massive city ships, each one a self-contained world capable of sustaining life for generations if necessary. They were accompanied by smaller vessels for defense, exploration, and resource gathering. It was the most ambitious undertaking in human history, made possible only through the combined efforts of humanity and their Zarki allies. As Sarah and her team boarded the command ship, they were greeted by a familiar face. Supreme Commander Zaxel, now serving as the Zarki ambassador to Earth and co-leader of Project Exodus. "Admiral Chen," Zaxel said, its multifaceted eyes gleaming with what Sarah had learned to recognize as excitement. "Are we ready to make history once again?" Sarah nodded, a sense of anticipation building in her chest. "I believe we are, old friend. Shall we address the fleet?" Together, they stepped onto the bridge of the command ship. Before them, a vast holographic display showed the faces of thousands of colonists, human and Zarki alike, all waiting with bated breath for the journey to begin. Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. When she spoke, her words were broadcast not just to the fleet, but to billions of people watching from Earth and the orbital habitats. Citizens of Earth, honored allies of the Zarki, brave volunteers of Project Exodus, she began, her enhanced voice carrying the gravitas of the historic moment. "Today, we embark on the greatest journey our species has ever undertaken. We go not just as explorers or colonists, but as the vanguard of a new chapter in the story of life in our universe." She paused, letting her gaze sweep across the assembled faces. 5 years ago, we faced destruction at the hands of cosmic forces beyond our comprehension. We stood on the brink of annihilation, saved only by the courage of a few and the unexpected alliance with a people we had first seen as invaders. Since then, we have grown, we have learned, and we have prepared. But we cannot rest on our laurels, Sarah continued, her voice gaining intensity. The Void Eaters are still out there, and they are not the only threat lurking in the dark between the stars. By pushing outward, by establishing new homes among distant suns, we secure not just our future, but the future of all life that stands against the encroaching darkness. Zaxel stepped forward, its alien features arranged in what Sarah now recognized as an expression of solemn determination. To the Zarki among you, I say this: Earth has become our second home, a sanctuary when all seemed lost. Now we have the chance to pay forward that generosity, to help forge new worlds where both our peoples can thrive. Let our shared journey be a testament to the power of unity in the face of cosmic challenges. Sarah nodded in agreement, then delivered her closing words. To every member of this fleet, I say, you carry with you the hopes and dreams of two civilizations. The road ahead will not be easy. You will face hardships, make discoveries both wondrous and terrifying, and be called upon to make decisions that will shape the future of countless lives. But I have faith in your training, in your determination, and in the unbreakable bond between human and Zarki that has brought us to this moment. Now, she said, her voice ringing with command, let us go forth and claim our place among the stars. A cheer erupted from the assembled colonists, a sound of pure joy and anticipation that seemed to shake the very structure of the ship. Sarah felt a lump in her throat as she gave the final order. Project Exodus, you have clearance for departure. Godspeed and good luck. With a grace that belied their massive size, the city ships began to move. Engines flared to life, propelling the fleet away from Earth's orbit. As they reached the designated coordinates, space itself seemed to twist and fold. In a flash of light that outshone the stars, the Project Exodus fleet made the jump to faster-than-light travel, vanishing from the solar system. As the cheers and celebrations erupted around her, Sarah felt a complex mix of emotions. Pride in how far they had come, hope for the future they were forging, but also a lingering worry about the challenges that still lay ahead. She felt a hand on her shoulder and turned to see Omar, his eyes reflecting the same swirl of feelings. It's not the end, is it? He said softly. It's just the beginning. Sarah nodded, a determined smile crossing her face. You're right. We've taken the first step, but the journey is far from over. The Void Eaters are still out there, and who knows what other wonders and terrors we'll discover among the stars. She looked around at her team, at David deep in telepathic communion with the fleet's psionic network, at Yuki running final checks on the defense systems, at Maria coordinating with Earth's planetary defense grid. These enhanced humans, once considered freaks or weapons, had become the pioneers of a new age. We've got work to do, Sarah said, her voice filled with purpose. Project Exodus is just the first wave. We need to prepare Earth for whatever comes next, to push our scientific understanding even further, to be ready to defend not just our planet, but our entire species across the stars. As they turned their attention to the myriad tasks ahead, Sarah allowed herself one last look at the viewscreen where Earth hung like a blue jewel against the velvet black of space. From a world that had once seemed so vast, they had taken their first true steps into the cosmic ocean. Whatever the future held, whether it was peaceful exploration, war against the Void Eaters, or challenges yet unimagined, Sarah knew that humanity, standing shoulder to shoulder with their Zarki allies, was ready to face it. They had been forged in the crucible of near extinction, enhanced by science and alien knowledge, and driven by an indomitable spirit of adventure and perseverance. The next chapter of their story was yet to be written, but one thing was certain: it would be an epic tale, spanning the stars themselves. And Sarah Chen, once a simple soldier, now the admiral of humanity's first interstellar fleet, would be there to lead the way, one light year at a time.